They staggered out of the shadows like ghosts returning to the world of the living. On one side of the screen, Western cameras zoomed in on the smiling faces of 20 freed Israeli men. Their names were broadcast, their families profiled, their reunions streamed live. On the other side, out of frame, almost invisible, nearly 2,000 Palestinians were bused to Gaza. No lights, no anchors, no headlines. The contrast was stark. For every Israeli released, 100 Palestinians. For every name the world heard, 100 names erased. Shadi Abu Sido, a photojournalist seized from Ashifa Hospital, was one of them. 20 months vanished in an Israeli cell. When his wife walked in, he rushed towards her like a man unhinged, clutching her as if she might disappear again. Then came the children, small, shaking, reaching out for a father they feared was gone. He fell to his knees. Through tears he cried, "They kept telling me you were all dead. They told me Gaza is gone." Ali Assayis walked out after 20 years in prison. His daughter, a child when he was taken, now a young woman, ran to him weeping. He cupped her face between his palms and whispered softly, "You are my rose." There were no words for 2 decades stolen. For others, there was no one left to hold. Haytham Salem stepped out clutching a bracelet he had made for his daughter's birthday 3 days away, only to discover that his wife and all 3 of his little children had been killed. He collapsed to the ground weeping, "My children have died, my children have died." That same morning, the father of journalists, Saleh Ja'farawi, buried his son. Hours later, his eldest, Naji, was released from jail. "Where is Saleh?" he asked. His father whispered, "He was martyred yesterday." Naji collapsed, his grieving elderly father desperately trying to console him. Some were released not to their homes but to exile. Murad Abu Rub from Ramallah was deported to Egypt instead of returning home. His sister had bought him a suit for the day of his release, guessing his size because she hadn't held him for 20 years. But the news came suddenly. He was gone without a goodbye. The Israeli authorities prepared trauma teams for their own returnees and found them smiling, walking on camera. The Palestinians emerged with starved faces, visible bones, sunken eyes. This isn't incidental, it is policy. Human rights groups and UN bodies have documented the system: savage beatings, electric shocks, stress positions, sexual violence, dog attacks, cigarette burns, starvation, denial of medicine, prayer, even sleep. The cruelty is written into their bodies. Some return so changed even their mothers don't recognize them. One widely shared video shows a mother staring blankly at her son after 2 years of imprisonment until someone whispers his name. She breaks down, clutching him through tears, crying, "This is Hamza. Oh, Hamza Habibi." Consider Dr. Adnan al-Bursh, an orthopedic surgeon taken from Al-Awda Hospital to Sidi Tayman, a black site of beatings and electric shocks. There, guards raped him and left him to bleed to death in the courtyard. When footage surfaced, the protest outside wasn't against the torture, but to defend the guards' right to rape Palestinians. While Netanyahu invokes the return of Israeli bodies to justify breaking the ceasefire, Israel holds the bodies of hundreds of Palestinians killed in captivity. An autopsy of one returned Israeli hostage revealed he was killed by Israeli bombardment, the same bombs that flattened Gaza and buried thousands beneath the rubble. Bodies returned by Israel after the ceasefire told another story, bodies bearing the unmistakable marks of torture and gunshots. The outcry for the dead Israeli captives was global, relentless, but for the scores of Palestinians kidnapped, tortured, executed, there was silence. No names, no numbers, no faces, just mothers scanning the lines of the newly released, whispering through their tears, "Have you seen my son?" Under the current deal, Israel will return 15 Palestinian bodies for every deceased Israeli captive. Estimates of the number of Palestinian bodies held by Israel range between 600 and 700, possibly more. Israel's policy of withholding bodies is one of its most chilling cruelties. More than 9,100 Palestinians remain behind bars, including 52 women and nearly 400 children. Over 3,500 are held under administrative detention without charge or trial. Hundreds more, many from Gaza, are held under Israel's unlawful combatant law, a legal black hole that allows indefinite detention with no due process. The pain of these prisons is not confined to their walls, it bleeds into homes. The knock at night, the dawn raid, the sound of boots, children crying, loved ones dragged away. In Palestine, prison isn't just a place, it's a shadow that stalks life from cradle to grave. How occupation disciplines the body, crushes the spirit, colonizes time. We call some hostages, we call others prisoners. One word evokes innocence and urgency, the other presumption and guilt. But everyone knows the truth. A whole people held hostage by siege, by military rule, by a carceral machine built to crush. The world grieves loudly for 19 Israeli hostages beneath the rubble and turns away from more than 10,000 Palestinians buried there. 1 to 500, a ratio that distills a century of dehumanization into cold arithmetic. For Palestinians, the prisoner has always been at the heart of the struggle. Long before this occupation, under the British mandate, prison cells were the crucible of defiance. The song commemorates three young men, Mohammed Jamjoom, Fouad Hijazi and Ata Azir, executed by the British in January 1930 after the Al-Buraq revolt a year earlier. Their names still live on Palestinian lips, sung across generations, because Palestinians do not forget their prisoners. They never have. And this story isn't theirs alone. From South Africa to Ireland, from Algeria to Kenya, empire built prisons to break those it colonized. But from those cells came songs, manifestos, revolutions. Nelson Mandela walked out and defeated apartheid. In Long Kesh, Irish Republican prisoners turned their bodies into the last word of protest, their hunger echoing beyond the bars. The men and women who walked out this week are not just individuals, they're the living thread of a struggle older than this occupation, shared by every people who has felt a boot on the neck and chosen to rise. Because the story of the prisoner is never just about the prisoner. It's about a people who refuses to submit. It's about the stubborn, beautiful, unbreakable human will to be free. As Irish hunger striker Bobby Sands put it, our revenge will be the laughter of our children.